Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Paige Volgamore, and it is my honor to serve as student body president and welcome you all to Kansas State University. For our students, staff, faculty, alumni, and friends, I'm so thankful that you took time out of your day to be here and celebrate with us. I'm incredibly proud to be a part of one of the happiest, friendliest campuses in the country. This warm, welcoming atmosphere is no accident. It's because of the dedicated community of faculty and staff and university partners who constantly strive to create an unmatched student experience. As student leaders, we are building on the foundation laid by our visionary campus leaders, both past and present, through initiatives such as applied learning experiences, promoting student health and well-being, and creating opportunities for an unmatched and impactful student experience, and more. To share more about these incredible initiatives that K-State is leading the way in as a next-generation land-grant university, I am honored to introduce K-State's 15th president, Richard Linton.
Throughout my time at K-State, I've been able to put my lessons in the classroom to practice in the real world, and I feel like there's still a lot more learning to do, but my confidence has definitely increased from when I started.
Us in the K-State Research and Extension are trying to help them out, figuring out is there a way to better use that water, to make sure that that water that they are pumping out of the ground is able to get into the crop and be able to become a yield.
It speaks to K-State, and it speaks to our partnership with NBAF, because I think if we didn't have a good partnership with them, they're probably going to go outside of our college, outside of our university, and hire some consultant to do this, and instead they're hiring us from the College of Business.
Because we knew each other before, we knew that there was an interest in urban agriculture, but we couldn't really apply for big grants before having any history. So that is giving us the opportunity to work together for 3 years, to publish together, to create a history, to convince the funding agents that we are a good team and we can go for more.
But just being able to be immersed in the environment really allowed myself to grow and just become a more confident person, because I was able to gain independence, know that I had support with me, but I was able to seek out my own things that I'd maybe want to try or do something new.
The only legacy you really leave is the people you educate. And not only the ones which you educated here, they go out into the world. So you leave a legacy not only at Kansas State, you leave it in many other places.
Well, good afternoon. Welcome to the state of our university at Kansas State University. I'm glad that you're here. Thank you for bringing your passion, your interest, everything that you bring to K-State as we go from this journey to a land-grant university to the next generation land-grant university. Before we get the party started today, I first need to thank Paige Volgamore. Paige, come on out here. Let's give her a big round of applause. Paige is doing an incredible job as our student body president. I hope that you enjoyed that video as much as I did. I think it's a great example, it's a great slice of what a land-grant university is as we think towards the next goal of being the next generation land-grant university. Why do I like it? Because it celebrates people, programs, and partnerships. We'll spend a lot of time talking about people, programs, and partnerships today. But it also celebrates our faculty, staff, students, external stakeholders, legislators, donors, alumni. It also celebrates the work that we do around research, teaching, extension, international programs, economic development and growth, and all the work that we do that focuses on what's important for Kansans. It celebrates the work that we do in communities, in laboratories, in fields around the state of Kansas, and in our classrooms. It celebrates the great work that we do in Manhattan, Olathe, Salina, even in Oviedo, Italy. And it celebrates our passion for our accountability in all 105 counties and communities. That's what makes us different. No other university in this state is responsible for and accountable for changing people's lives on all of our physical campuses in all 105 counties and communities. So, I've done a lot of fun things as president, but one of the most enjoyable was this right here. Community visits, the presidential community visits that we did throughout the entire state in partnership with the School of Leadership Studies and some 25 plus students. We visited 18 different locations in the state, and in reaching out to 18 different locations, geographically we touched all 105 counties and communities. At one of our visits in Hoxie, you know where Hoxie is, northwest, a far, far place away. We were hosted by a farmer, entrepreneur, banker, an incredible advocate for Kansas State University. And towards the end of the night, we're sitting around the table. He asked 2 questions. He said, "Why are you doing this?" Well, we're doing this because we want to be the next generation land-grant university, and we can't be a next generation land-grant university unless we go into people's backyards and listen to what's important to them and what they need. And that'll be the foundation of the work that we do as a land-grant transitioning to a next generation land-grant university. He says, "Okay, next question. What are your dreams? What are your aspirations? What do you want to see happen?" We had a long list. We started talking about a program around economic development and growth and creating jobs in all of Kansas. Well, that became a state-supported program called K-State 105. We then talked about addressing the biggest issue in the state that impacts agriculture and food systems, and that's water resource management. That became known as the Kansas Water Institute, also supported by the state of Kansas. We talked about what our role would be in one of the areas of fastest growth for job creation, which is in advanced manufacturing. And our answer to that question was biomanufacturing. And that became a state-supported biomanufacturing and biosciences initiative. And then he looked at us and he said, "Why not us? Why not Kansas State?" And I will tell you, when he said that, things changed for me. And that's the attitude that I brought to the table, was why not us? Why not Kansas State University? Why can't we be leaders of excellence? Why can't we provide opportunities that we've never fathomed before for faculty, staff, students, and our external stakeholders? We've got incredible people. 2 years ago, there were 40 people in the room for this address. Today, they tell me 780 people. It's awesome. If you're a student, I'd ask you to please stand. If you're a staff member, I'd ask you to please stand. If you're a faculty member, stand up. If you are a community leader, if you are an advocate, a donor, an alumni, anyone who cares at all about K-State, please stand. Give yourselves a big round of applause. Because you are what makes the next generation land-grant university. You can be seated. But you know what? We got great people that we celebrate each and every day. This is just the smallest slice that I could provide, but just 4 really great examples. The first is one of our amazing students in the top left. Sydney Friedley had scoliosis, had obstacles, had challenges, but she still pursued her dream, and she's now a pilot. Our next example, top right, Tracy Brimhall. She's a poet laureate, as determined and awarded by our governor of the state of Kansas. And then there's Corey Williamson, and I see smiles already when I talk about him, because he's one of the most connected K-Staters we know. We can see it in Corey. And he's helped to be able to create and lead community healing clubs. And then lastly, Roger and Julie Davis, just a couple of weeks ago, helped to be able to support one of our most important initiatives that came out of our K-State strategic planning effort. Now, we all know that the student experience here is one of best in the country. We wanted to elevate that to a completely higher level with a new concept called applied learning. It's about creating incredible opportunities like internships, international experiences, an opportunity to work with student government. It's about being trained in skill areas that you might not normally get as a part of the college experience, like financial literacy, like negotiation skills, which makes our students more competitive in the workforce and ultimately better leaders. So they recently stepped up and provided an endowment for the director of applied learning. That enables us immediately to be able to provide programmatic support and go after the best person possible. All of these people share the same values that we share. So on the banners behind me are the 6 values that came out of our strategic planning effort about what all we need to share as we move forward to what we're calling a next generation land-grant university. Some of these we have instilled for 150 years. It's who we are. Others we've got to get out of the comfort box and grow. We're connected. We've always been connected to each other, connected to our students, connected to communities, and connected to stakeholders that we serve. We're people-centered. That's who we are. That's what we do. We want to make an impact to our communities, but ultimately we want to make an impact to our students who are our product that's going to change the world. Where do we need to grow and be different? Maybe courage. Courage to think just a little bit bigger. Make difficult decisions. Be broader. Be bold. Go after it and take risks. Our learners have also changed as a part of strategic planning. Our learners of yesterday were students that got an undergraduate and a graduate degree at Kansas State University. Well, the world's changing. Less and less students are actually going into higher education out of high school. So we can certainly articulate the value of higher education and how that can change people's lives, but the other part is let's meet them where they are. So now we're looking at learners in the strategic plan and trying to grow to 30,000 learners, which includes both those degree-seeking students we just talked about, but also those that might want a credential or certificate program that can elevate people in their career where they are or create new opportunities for those that don't seek a degree and want a career opportunity. We then continue to listen, and we are starting to listen to our deans, our internal stakeholders, as they are developing strategic plans for their own disciplines that will ultimately melt into this puzzle that we call the Next Generation Land-Grant University Strategic Plan that ultimately needs to melt into the Kansas Board of Regents Strategic Plan for Higher Education. If you look at the left-hand side of this slide under internal stakeholders, these are the words that came from our deans in their strategic plan. What shows up largest as an example? Research. Research is important. Research innovation is the marker that raises the reputation of Kansas State. It helps to enable us to keep the best people we have and go after great people, whether they're faculty, staff, or students. But better research innovation also helps us solve the grand global challenges of society in a better way. You'll see lots of investment in research over the next couple of years. On the right-hand side of that slide, if we can back it up, magic, is external stakeholders. We polled you in the audience, and this is what you said. It's different, right? A lot of you are interested in access, in meeting what the land-grant mission is all about. You're interested not just in Manhattan, but you're interested in the entire state. So as a land-grant university, and as a president of a land-grant university, it is my job to listen to all sides. How do we melt together what's important for our external stakeholders with what we believe is important at home and come up with the best strategy for the next generation land-grant university? We then took it to the next level. What are the grand global challenges that we'd like to solve? What are the areas that we are most equipped to make a difference in this world? And you should see our work now come under these 4 basic themes. Community health and well-being is about mental health, physical health, financial health of the institution. You'll see that we've recently been named a health promoting university because we care about our students, our faculty, and our staff, and their mental health and their physical health. Global food security and biosecurity. We've been known as one of the best universities in the world. With a very strong veterinary science school, College of Agriculture, and vibrant industry. And now with the BSL-3 and a BSL-4 facility, and the only place in the country that has BSL level 1, 2, 3, and 4 for multiple species and a focus on large animals, think about the opportunity around the corner. Sustainability. We do a lot of work in sustainability, but how do we bring it all together? How do we bring it all together to understand how we can maximize environmental sustainability and financial sustainability? And then enabling technologies. What role will AI play? How do we ensure that when we're using AI, that we're best instructing our students to be prepared for the world? What about data analytics and decision making? What about robotics? What about novel teaching methods that we can use to be able to better instruct our students so that they'll learn better, more efficiently, and come out with a stronger education? Our students. It's the most important thing at Kansas State University. And I think we would all agree it's the foundation of who we are. And if you think about it, our student experience is recognized as one of the best in the country. Best quality of life, incredible student experiences, student support services, the friendliest students, the happiest students. I know, it's like the Wizard of Oz. But it's important to us. And when we think about our students, we also have some challenges that we've had for many years at Kansas State. Student enrollment, student recruitment, student retention has been a major issue and challenge. And we've been working very hard, and I am here today to bring you some very good news. There it is. Now, I can't say this officially just yet, but we are projecting that we will be greater than 20,000 students at Kansas State University for the first time in many, many years. And we are also projecting the largest freshman class in 8 years. Why? Because we have a student enrollment team that's been working very hard and strategically. Investments in technology, investments in communications. Over $200 million raised in student scholarships in the last few years. And all the work that's happening with deans and department heads and faculty to be able to make a difference in the most important issue related to students at K-State. We have incredible value. And I don't think that we talk about this incredible value nearly enough. These are the 3 things that you sell to parents and you sell to students. Student access. We were one of the most accessible land-grant universities in the country, ranging from high 80s to mid 90s of an acceptance rate. Compared to most other land-grant institutions, it's at least 1.5 to 2 times more from a student acceptance perspective. That means we're accessible, but it also means we got to try just a little bit harder to ensure that they're going to be successful. And that's where our student success programs become so vitally important, and we've got a strong strength there. Student support. We know that cost is a big issue. Student affordability is a big issue. 79% of our students that come to K-State receive some form of financial assistance so that they can afford to come here to get an education. That number is also twice more than any other land-grant university that I worked at. Student success. This is what you really sell to parents. 96% of our students, upon graduation, 6 months after graduation, will have a job or will be in a professional field, graduate school, vet school, whatever the case may be. That's an incredible number. You want to sell this university, and want to have students come here, talk about the incredible student experience, talk about the support that we're going to give them with support services and financial aid, and then the student success once they walk out the door. Research. Well, you saw that research bubbled up as the biggest thing, right? So it's important. It's important to the deans, it's important to us. And we know that research innovation helps to make our university higher reputation, keep people, attract people. But we're working on the research front in a very different way. We're building interdisciplinary teams and tackling big issues like water, tackling big issues like biomanufacturing. The effort in the last year has almost been remarkable. Over 50% of our faculty are involved in funded research, some 650 plus strong. But the next number is a really special number. An increase by 22% in competitive grantsmanship. That's amazing. We've gone from $185 million to $225 million in competitive grants, which is one of those metrics of the success of research, en route to a goal of $270 million by the year 2030. What is K-State? Well, we said people were important. The next piece is programs. And programs are nothing more than bringing people together around important issues to solve problems. First example, the Konza Prairie. We all love it, right? Because it's beautiful. But it's also an 8,000-acre laboratory. Only one of its kind in the world. We have it right here. Incredible ecosystem with plant species, animal species, and grasslands that don't exist anywhere else in the world. And that's why people from all over the world come to study right here at Kansas State in this very, very special place that we call the Konza Prairie. Sustainability? What better place to study sustainability than the Konza Prairie? Then there's work that we do to be able to help communities. So here is an example of what's happening with graduate students in the College of Architecture and Planning Design. This is about trying to help rural communities, in this case the example is Eureka and Lyons, to be able to help foster a community that gathers people together, as you can see in the top two examples, as well as attract people to want to come to that community. These folks in rural communities, they can't do it without our help. This is Salina, actually a partnership with Salina and Olathe around advanced manufacturing. Again, advanced manufacturing is where we think there's going to be a lot of jobs in the future. Probably 50% plus jobs in Kansas will in some form or fashion involve a piece of advanced manufacturing. So we're developing new programs. We're giving our students the skill set that they're going to need to be successful in working across campuses and also working with industry. A recent celebration 2 weeks ago on the Salina campus, a partnership with Pure Imagination about different ways of learning, different ways of teaching, different technologies to put our students on the forefront. A $41 million effort that was celebrated 2 weeks ago. Then there's NBAF. I've been hearing about this for 25 years. Because I used to come here 25 years ago when the Senator Pat Roberts talked about it. Incredible opportunity, right? Nowhere else in the world do we have BSL level 1, 2, 3, and 4 for multiple species, especially large animals. Understand that USDA ARS is here because of K-State. They want to partner with us. They want to grow research. Space, the final frontier. As we continue along. Now, I'm really proud of what's going on this campus relative to space. We have a new master plan, facilities master plan will take us to 2030. And actually, the investment in space has gone from $15 million last year to $40 million this year to more than $100 million next year and $200 million the year afterwards. We are planning for the future. If we have great people and we have great programs and we don't provide the space and the environment for them to thrive, then we haven't fulfilled the equation. And so here is an example of the largest infrastructure project, I believe, ever at K-State, and certainly ever for an agricultural community connected with a land-grant university. This is the Ag Innovation Project, $210 million investment, paid half by the state, paid half through generous donors through philanthropy. And this is about 9 facilities. Some facilities get taken down because they can't get modernized. Others get modernized, and then there's new capital construction. So as an example, on the top left, we're rethinking about how we build space to stimulate interdisciplinary research. So this is the Global Food and Grain Center, which will be housed in between Call Hall and Weber Hall. Call Hall and Weber Hall get renovated, modernized, and the Global Food and Grain Center, that's now a mecca of being able to bring multiple disciplines together around animal science, food science, agronomy, grain science, milling science, and baking science. Because when you bring multiple disciplines together around the table to work on difficult and challenging problems, you can do it much more efficiently and effectively. The bottom right is an example of the livestock arena, which used to be in between Call Hall and Weber Hall. It's not there anymore. But there'll be a new livestock arena, the Bilbrey Event Center, that's going to be built on top of the hill, over by NBAF and over by the Stocker Unit. This building is not only about providing modernized facilities for our students to learn in, but it's also about thinking about the economy in Manhattan. We can go from 1 rodeo a year to 25 or 30. Think about what that can do for the economy here in Manhattan and regionally. Oh, so y'all know that the First Lady and I, we live on campus. And because we live on campus, when we get out and take a walk, we walk on campus. And so we walk on campus probably 4 to 5 times a week. And we walk the dogs, and more often the dogs walk us. We've got an incredible, beautiful campus. So as we walk through this campus, I wanted to show you first, I invite you to walk on campus and to be able to see this incredible beauty. But here is an example of what's happening at the K-State Gardens. This is the new reflection pool that was dedicated just last year. And just last night, we celebrated an almost $4 million renovation to Belmont Hall, which supports students and faculty in the College of Education. And Ahern, we're working on it, folks. As soon as we come up with the idea, we're ready to go. If you have ideas, let me know. And if you haven't been in Anderson recently, we went this summer from 1940 to today. It's a much more inviting space, much more professional space. If you think about it, this is the first place parents and students come. If it doesn't show professionalism and it's not inviting, they may choose not to come here.
Resources, connectivity, and networking was really important to me. So as I was building out this entrepreneurial type career, I was constantly connecting with people back at K-State because I knew that they would give me not only the courage and the support, but the resources and just that wisdom and knowledge to help me.
The Innovation Center serves all the communities within that 26-county area in Northwest Kansas. We serve people in many different areas. We work in housing, childcare, workforce, and also business development. And so K-State 105 was a funding partner that brought opportunities for us to solve some of those issues.
I think it's going to be giving the tools to the people. They will give you the tools, and it's going to be up to us as individual communities. Where do we want to see our communities? And that's what I'm looking forward to, is bringing the expertise together of K-State and public and private partners to see where this is going to go. But I believe those that do will be the ones that will continue to be the leaders and the hubs of economic activity and success in Kansas.
So as the university takes itself to a new level to differentiate itself from other universities because of our commitment to research, to service, and to education, I think we can use right here on campus in Riley County, City of Manhattan, as an example of how then we can reach through extension and through all of those things of outreach across the entire state. Then we can help our state be a leading state in our country and then the world.
The partnership is something that I don't want to go away. I think there could be more that we could do, working with the different colleges within the university to bring technical resources and expertise out to our region, I think is what I hope for the future.
So I think now the university, through the Next Gen strategic plan, is really saying it's time for us to speak up a little bit. So as we do that, we just have to showcase all that we have that's so good, and it's getting better. It just is getting better and better. I'm not being paid to say this, right? I'm as purple as they come, and there's just not a better place to be than K-State.
Yeah. So that video did a whole much better job than I could do at articulating the value of our external partnerships. And again, that's what makes a land-grant university different. Our external partnerships exist all over the state of Kansas, nationally and globally. But we also have partnerships right here on this campus that are also incredibly important. Like our band, and I say that with a smile, our band combined with what happens in athletics is the energy of this place. And boy, did we celebrate athletics this past year with a victory in the Pop-Tart Bowl against NC State. Being in the College World Series regionals, College World Series regionals in baseball, being a host for the Super 16, we now even have an Olympian on our campus. But you know what I'm most proud of? We were ranked third in the Big 12 relative to the success of our student athletes in scholastics, in graduation rate. When you can do both really effectively, that's something to be really, really proud of. And then there's passionate alumni that are out there, 200,000 strong, over half of them in the state of Kansas. Thank you for your support, your advocacy to make this university the best it possibly can. Let's give a big round of applause to our alumni. Because we can't do this journey without you. But building partnerships is also about collaborating with great ideas in order to be able to bring resources to help your university grow when otherwise it couldn't. Two examples. One is state and federal relations. The other is philanthropy. With state and federal relations, because we've built good relationships and we're now bringing really good ideas to the table because we're listening to Kansans in all 105 counties and communities, we're making a difference. This past year, with state and federal relations, this university brought in $137.5 million. From a state perspective, it supports things like K-State 105, initiatives like the Biomanufacturing Initiative and the Water Institute, which will bring in 24 new faculty members to this university. It supports things systematically that are important, like faculty and staff raises. It supports things that are systematically important, like student success and our student success playbook. It helps enable us to be able to have resources that we didn't have with the recent payoff of the BRI facility, which now enables us to take those resources that we were using for that purpose and reinvest it back into research innovation, which, by the way, is what bubbled up as number one from a dean's perspective. Federally, you saw, let's go back one, thanks. We're a team. Federally, you saw the picture that we had with Salina. That was a $41 million investment on the Salina campus. But you also saw a couple of weeks ago a new investment being made federally for a biosciences and biomanufacturing initiative. So you see what we're doing on the federal side, infrastructure, and now you see what we're doing on the state side, people and programs, and piecing all of this together. Then there's the incredible generosity that we have from our alumni and donors and supporters of K-State and the great work that's done with the Kansas State University Foundation. Over the last 3 years, we've raised $660 million to be able to support important programs like student scholarships for in-state and out-of-state tuition relief, like faculty endowments, like support for big projects like the Ag Innovation Project and athletic facilities. This past year, the Kansas State University Foundation brought $192 million to be able to support our programs, of which $50 million of that was there to be able to support student scholarships. Last year, we also wanted to be able to understand how we can take these resources and turn them into something powerful. Because getting resources is only half the equation. What do we do with these resources that makes a difference? So last year we tried to answer that question by doing an economic impact study and showed that the value of the work that we do in research and teaching and extension, specifically for the state of Kansas, is $2.3 billion. If we are doing good for Kansas, we are doing great for the world. And every $1, there it is, every $1 that's invested from Kansas into Kansas State University results in almost a $9 return because of the additional resources that we can bring in because of that initial investment. We're a pretty good value at Kansas State University. So today, I hope I've articulated some of the potential we have. Some of the potential around research and teaching and extension, international programs, infrastructure, philanthropy, athletics, and the band. What's next? The promise. What's the promise? What can happen around the corner? My promise to you, our promise to you, is to be able to create the best land-grant university we possibly can that serves Kansans and serves the people that work at this institution. I ask you, will you join me on that promise? And how will you be a part of that promise in helping to move this university forward? Why not us? Why not K-State? Because we are the first land-grant university. If someone is to change it, to make it better, to make it more innovative, to make it more impactful, I ask you the question, why not us? Go Cats.